Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says India working on becoming self-reliant in the space sector, says India to soon have own space station, urges youth to join astronaut pool on National Space Day. Trump warns Russia of sanctions if no peace deal made in 2 weeks. Zelensky accuses Putin of doing everything to stop trilateral summit. Russia says agenda not ready for Zelensky meeting. Canada drops retaliatory tariffs on US goods compliant with free trade deal. Tariffs on steel, aluminium and autos to remain in place. Trump welcomes the move. India is celebrating the second National Space Day today on the theme Aryabhat to Gaganyaan, Ancient Wisdom to Infinite Possibilities. On this day in 2023, India's Chandrayaan-3 mission accomplished safe and soft landing of Vikram lander on the lunar surface. With this, India became the fourth country to land on the moon and first to land near the southern polar region of the moon. The soft landing was followed by successful deployment of Pragyan rover. The landing site was named as Shiv Shakti Point and August 23rd was declared as National Space Day. This year, the day focuses on India's journey from Aryabhat to Gaganyaan and envisions the infinite possibilities ahead. And Prime Minister Modi extended the greetings on National Space Day, saying India's journey in space reflects our determination, innovation and the brilliance of our scientists pushing boundaries. In his video message on the event organized by ISRO at Bharat Mandapam, PM Modi said achieving new milestones one after another in the space sector has become the nature of India and Indian scientists. He stressed that India will also launch the Gaganyaan mission and will also build its own space station. PM Modi mentioned Indian astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla's space mission success, announcing that the country will soon build an astronaut pool. He urged the young minds to join the initiative.
हम स्पेस में डॉकिंग अनडॉकिंग की क्षमता रखने वाले दुनिया के चौथे देश भी बन गए हैं। अभी 3 दिन पहले ही मेरी ग्रुप कैप्टन शुभांशु शुक्ला से मुलाकात हुई है। उन्होंने इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन पर तिरंगा फहराकर हर भारतीय को गर्व से भर दिया। जब वो तिरंगा मुझे दिखा रहे थे, वो जो पल थी, जो अनुभूति थी, वो शब्दों से परे है। इन सपनों को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए हम भारत का एस्ट्रोनॉट पूल भी तैयार करने जा रहे हैं। मैं आज स्पेस डे पर अपने युवा साथियों को भारत के सपनों को उड़ान देने के लिए इस एस्ट्रोनॉट पूल से जुड़ने के लिए आमंत्रित करता।
PM Modi also said that space technology is also becoming a part of governance, making the lives of ordinary citizens easier. The Prime Minister also highlighted extraordinary work being undertaken under public-private partnership. PM Modi also stressed that India will also launch the Gaganyaan mission and will also build its own space station.
आज भारत सेमी क्रायोजेनिक इंजन और इलेक्ट्रिक प्रोपल्शन जैसी ब्रेक थ्रू टेक्नोलॉजी में तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहा है। जल्द ही आप सब वैज्ञानिकों की मेहनत से भारत गगनयान की उड़ान भी भरेगा और आने वाले समय में भारत अपना स्पेस स्टेशन भी बनाएगा.
On the occasion, ISRO Chief E. Narayanan lauded the development of India's space sector achieved under PM Modi's leadership, calling him a visionary leader. He said that one of the major recent achievements is sending one of our Gaganyatris to the International Space Station.
Honorable Prime Minister of India, who is a visionary leader, and our Minister, who has given directions and guidelines to carry out the space activities. It was Honorable Prime Minister who named the spot where the Chandrayaan-3 landed as the Sivasakti point, also declared 23rd August as the National Space Day. One of the major achievements is the sending our own Gaganyatri to International Space Station, ISS. And it was again Honorable Prime Minister who was to be thanked. It was his idea that before sending the Gaganyatri through our rocket, we should send one of them to the International Space Station. And his vision led to a great success today. And Suklaji has gone to the space station and come back safely.
Earlier, Union Science and Technology Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh met Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla in New Delhi. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh on Friday said that India is building a robust defence ecosystem by promoting innovation and technology development and creating a suitable growth environment for domestic companies. Speaking at the World Leaders Forum in New Delhi, the Defence Minister said India is marching towards the direction of building fifth-generation fighter aircraft and manufacturing the aircraft's engine. He further said the government has approved a new order with HAL to manufacture 97 Tejas fighter planes. The minister said HAL had earlier been given an order to build 83 aircraft. Rajnath Singh has invited all foreign companies and investors to come and invest in India's vibrant defence manufacturing ecosystem. Now, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that trade negotiations are still going on with the US. He was speaking at the Economic Times World Leaders Forum 2025. He said President Trump's dealing with the world is departure from traditional politics.
President Trump's way of dealing with the world, even dealing with his own country, is a very major departure from the traditional orthodox manner of doing so. I'm just giving you some examples. Say, the applications of tariff in this manner, even for trade, is novel. The application of tariffs for non-trade issues is even more so. The fact that a lot of this is said in public, often the first pronouncement is in public, is even more unusual. So this is a situation which the entire world is facing. Now, where we are concerned, I think we have at this moment three issues. First of all, trade. And I think, in my mind, that's really the major issue in terms of the negotiations which are underway.
US President Donald Trump on Friday announced Sergio Gore as the next US ambassador to India. Trump, in a social media post, has announced the nomination of Sergio Gore as next United States ambassador to India. Trump further wrote that Gore, who is currently the director of the White House Presidential Personnel Office, would also serve as a special envoy for South and Central Asian affairs. Sergio Gore will replace Eric Garcetti, who served from May 11, 2023 to January 20, 2025. Since Garcetti's departure, the US Embassy in India has been led by Interim Charge Affairs Jordan K. Andrews. Now, Sergio Gore has expressed gratitude towards President Trump, saying, "Nothing has made me prouder than to serve the American people through the great work of this administration. Our White House has achieved historic results in making America great again. It will be the honor of my life to represent the United States. And the appointment of Sergio Gore as Indian ambassador got some positive reactions from Trump administration. On social media platform X, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Gore will be an excellent representative of America in one of the most important relationships U.S. has in the world. While U.S. Under Secretary of Defense Elbridge Colby said it is superb to have President Trump's wise and trusted counselor as their ambassador to India. He also said that the U.S.-India relationship is tremendously important and it will be critical to have someone to be able and insightful in this key role. All right, weather updates from across the country now. A cloudburst occurred at Tharali, located about 75 kilometers southeast of Rudraprayag in Chamoli district, Uttarakhand. Preliminary reports indicate damage to houses and vehicles in the affected area. One young girl has been reported missing. The Indian Army has promptly responded to the situation. A column of infantry battalion comprising about 50 personnel was launched from Rudraprayag. Additionally, a medical team has been mobilized from Joshimath, and search and rescue dogs with surveillance drones are being moved to the site to assist and provide relief. The Indian Army remains committed to providing all necessary support to the civil administration and local population. And Chief Minister of Uttarakhand, Pushkar Singh Dhami, condemned the cloudburst that occurred late last night in Tharali. On social media platform X, Pushkar Singh Dhami said, and I quote him here, "Late last night, a tragic report of a cloudburst was received in Tharali area of Chamoli district. The district administration, SDRF and police have reached the spot and are engaged in relief and rescue operations. In this regard, I am in constant contact with the local administration and I am personally closely monitoring the situation. I pray to God for everyone's safety," unquote. And the weather in Uttarakhand has taken a drastic turn since morning. Heavy to light rain showers are continuing across the state. Clouds have settled across the mountains and plains alike. Heavy rains has showered Dehradun and several districts. The Met Department has issued an orange alert for Uttarakhand. Some places of the region may experience intense to very intense rainfall. Since morning, several parts of Dehradun have recorded heavy rainfall. The Weather Department has urged people and tourists to avoid unnecessary travel and stay in safe places. District administrations have been advised to remain alert. A rescue operation unfolded in the Kathua district of Jammu and Kashmir after a car was swept away by strong water currents amid heavy rainfall and rising water levels. The incident occurred due to excessive water flow in a local stream following relentless rains in the region. Rescue operations remain underway in various flood-affected areas with the SDRF and local administration on high alert to prevent further mishaps. Moving on, the 14th edition of the joint bilateral military exercise Maitri between India and Thailand is scheduled to take place from September 1st to 14th at the Foreign Training Node in Umroi, Meghalaya. The annual exercise aims to enhance the operational capabilities of both nations' armies in conducting joint company-level counter-terrorism operations in semi-urban terrain. The drills will be carried out under the United Nations mandate, underscoring the shared commitment of India and Thailand to global peace and security. All right, we are slipping into a very short break. On the other side, more stories. Keep watching DD India Live. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan talking about diplomacy around Russia-Ukraine conflict. US President Donald Trump needs 2 weeks to gauge progress made in talks after his summit with Russian President in Alaska. Trump has also raised the prospect of imposing sanctions on Moscow. He was unhappy about Russia's strike on an American factory in Ukraine this week, which caused a fire that injured some of the facility's employees. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, meanwhile, said on Friday that Russia was doing everything it could to prevent a meeting between him and Putin, while Russia's foreign minister said the agenda for such a meeting was not ready. Trump had taken sanctions off the table in preparation for his summit in Anchorage with Putin, but at the same time, White House event where he mentioned possible sanctions, he showed a photograph of his meeting with Putin on the red carpet in Alaska, saying Putin wanted to attend the World Cup 2026 soccer tournament in the United States.
I'm not happy about it, and I'm not happy about anything having to do with that. But we'll see what happens. I think in 2 weeks we'll know which way I'm going, because I'm going to go one way or the other, and they'll learn which way I'm going. Well, then I'm going to make a decision as to what we do, and it's going to be a very important decision, and that's whether or not it's massive sanctions or massive tariffs or both. Or do we do nothing and say it's your fight?
Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin is hopeful of improving Moscow's relations with Washington, saying there was light at the end of the tunnel in respect of the relations and that the two countries were discussing joint projects in the Arctic and Alaska. Putin visited the town of Sarov on Friday, where one of Russia's key nuclear weapons enterprises is located. During his visit, Putin toured an exhibition about scientific and educational infrastructure in closed cities. Both Russia and the United States have said they see enormous economic opportunities if they can normalize relations after ties plunged to a post-Cold War low because of the conflict in Ukraine. At a press conference following the visit, Putin said he was sure that US President Donald Trump's leadership qualities would help in restoring relations from recent lows.
I really hope that the first steps that have been taken are just the beginning of a full-scale restoration of our relations. This doesn't depend on us. It depends on our Western partners, first of all, in the wider sense, because the US are bound by certain obligations in various associations, including the North Atlantic Bloc. Therefore, the next steps now depend on the leadership of the United States. But I'm certain that the leadership qualities of the current president, President Trump, are a good guarantee that relations will be restored. And I hope that the pace of our joint work on these grounds will continue.
Now, Canada is removing all tariffs on US goods that are compliant with the existing North American Free Trade Agreement. Speaking to reporters a day after a lengthy call with Trump, Prime Minister Mark Carney said Canada has the best deal of any country with the United States right now. Carney said he was matching exemptions affirmed earlier this month by Washington, while President Donald Trump called the move nice. Following a series of agreements the United States has signed with major partners, including the European Union, Carney said the average tariff rate on goods entering the United States from around the world was now at 16%, up from 2% before Trump took office. The US tariff rate on Canadian goods was 5.6%, the Prime Minister said, adding 85% of our trade is tariff-free.
In this context, and consistent with Canada's commitment to CUSMA, I'm announcing today that the Canadian government will now match the United States by removing all of Canada's tariffs on US goods specifically covered under CUSMA. So in short, the situation we're in now is that Canada and the United States have reestablished free trade for the vast majority of our goods.
Now, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with South Korea's Foreign Minister Cho Hyun in Washington on Friday. The two leaders discussed ways to advance the bilateral alliance as they fine-tune the agenda for the planned summit between Presidents Lee Jae-myung and Donald Trump. South Korean Foreign Minister and his US counterpart held the talks just 3 days ahead of the summit. Trump and the South Korean president are expected to discuss joint efforts to modernize the bilateral alliance in a summit talks on Monday. Now, South Korean military fired warning shots on Tuesday in the border area with North Korea and called it a deliberate provocation. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said in a statement that some North Korean soldiers working in the border region crossed the military demarcation line, and the South Korean military fired warning shots with North Korean troops later moving back north of the line. North Korea also said that warning broadcasts from the South Korean military in the border region were increasing. Since last year, North Korea has been building barriers in the heavily fortified border between the two Koreas while blowing up inter-Korean roads and railways. In response, North Korea said it will take corresponding countermeasure for any obstruction to the barrier building project. North Korea's message is at odds with South Korean President Lee Jae-myung saying last week that it will end some military activities along its border with North Korea. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. Abrego, a migrant whose wrongful deportation in March to his native El Salvador, was released from criminal custody in Tennessee on Friday. Abrego was deported to his native El Salvador in March despite a 2019 immigration court ruling that he not be sent there due to a risk of persecution by gangs. He was flown back to the US in June to face criminal charges of transporting migrants living illegally in the country. Later, Abrego has pleaded not guilty. In New York, a tour bus carrying more than 50 people veered out of control and rolled over on an upstate highway, leaving at least 5 people dead. Multiple passengers ended up trapped in the wreckage and had to be extricated. The driver, who survived the accident, lost control while the bus was moving at full speed. No other vehicles were involved. NASA is preparing for its second-year-long Mars simulated mission in a 3D printed habitat in Houston, Texas. The space agency gave a tour of the Crew Health and Performance Exploration Analog at the Johnson Space Center on Friday. A crew of 4 people will spend a year inside 1,700 square foot habitat in October. A cat named Naruto has captured the hearts of many after being adopted by a police station in the remote town of Porvenir in Chile. Naruto's journey began when Officer Christian Garrido found him running from a pack of dogs. Now Naruto roams the police station wearing a tiny police vest and has earned the affectionate nicknames General Michi and Cat Binero. On to business updates now. TikTok will remain blocked in India. The government has clarified that it has not issued any unblocking order for TikTok, and any such statement or news is false and misleading. It is to be noted that TikTok website is not allowing access further than the homepage. The TikTok mobile app is still completely inaccessible in India. TikTok, along with 58 other Chinese applications, were banned in India in June 2020, citing concerns over data security and privacy. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump said he is open to extend the deadline of TikTok ban again, making it delay for 4th time. It has now until mid-September to find a new owner under a federal law that requires the company to change its ownership structure to resolve national security concerns. US has extended the deadline for TikTok to take a decision, either had to be separated from its Chinese owner, ByteDance, or have to face a ban in the US. US would take a 10% stake in Intel under a deal with the struggling chipmaker that converts government grants into an equity share. The deal puts President Donald Trump on better terms with Intel CEO Lip-Bu Tan after the president recently said the CEO should step down due to conflicts of interest. It will ensure that the chipmaker will receive about $10 billion in funds for building or expanding factories in the US. Intel stock rose roughly 1% in the extended session on Friday after closing up 5.5% during regular trading. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.